The family that transfers together stays together. Maybe, maybe not. The NFL draft right around the corner here. We talk some storylines from that and early Heisman odds. Campus to Canton is live right now. Austin Nace here with Matthew Bruening this evening. Matt, we do so many shows together now. It's great. Just you and me. I feel like, I'm learning so much about you and just getting to know you better than I even know my wife at this point. It's great.
I don't know that part's great, but it is fun doing shows with you. I would think you might want to get to know her a little bit better. Unfortunately,
that's sage advice. I'll do that. I will, just for you. Thanks for tuning in here with us, guys. If you're live, why don't you subscribe to the channel here on YouTube, give a like on the video, and set those notifications up so that you know anytime we're going live, because we're doing some NFL draft coverage this week. We're going to talk about that here in just a little bit. And if you're listening to this podcast, give us a 5-star review wherever you're checking in here with us. Matt, let's jump right in here. I know we started off last week with Nico Iamaleava, and there was a very disgruntled individual in the chat who seemed to think that we've said some horrible things about Nico. I'm not sure who he was confusing us with, but hopefully not here with us tonight. We have to start off with the story again because I think it's gotten even, I don't want to say weirder, but there's just elements have been added on to this that I don't think we necessarily saw coming. So for anybody who's been in a cave or just got off a 2-week flight or something, Nico Iamaleava left Tennessee, headed to UCLA, and now his brother is joining him as well. His brother was a true freshman, early enrollee at Arkansas, had been there for some of the spring practices there. He was originally committed to UCLA and then flipped kind of late, I would assume, just based on everything we know now about the Iamaleava family for monetary reasons. So, I mean, I guess the first question I just want to ask, I mean, these guys both going to UCLA. Is this going to work out for everybody on the field? Strictly on the field. Does this make UCLA better? Is this better for Nico? Is it better for Madden? And anybody involved here?
I really don't know how to answer. First off, I want to say, congrats to Deshaun Foster for swallowing his pride, because I imagine that was not a fun conversation to have with Madden, Nico's brother, who just I want to say it was on signing day. If I remember correctly, we addressed it on signing day, Felix and myself, with the flip to Arkansas. So, on signing day, so that was, 5 months ago, he flips to Arkansas. We hear that he's going to get paid. Obviously, now we hear Arkansas is trying to get that money back. And now here we are 5 months later. Not only is Nico coming, but Madden decided he's coming back to UCLA, to my guess is, just have the brothers here kind of be the quarterbacks for the future of UCLA. I mean, overall, I think, last week we said I thought it was an interesting move. I'm not sure how much I liked it. And some of that I think just goes to, again, Tennessee, despite their inability to really develop anybody from an NFL draft perspective, especially on the offensive side of things, it was going to be, or you would think it would be an offense with Josh Heupel that, could at least put up stats and he would be able to produce for you from a CFF perspective. Now, didn't really work out for you through most of the SEC season last year. However, I mean, if you go back to what happened with Nico at the beginning of the year, granted, I get it was against bad competition, but realistically, he started to play a lot better in those last couple games for Tennessee, including, I was listening to Campus Live today, and you and Colin talking about how he played in that Ohio State game. And I agree with you. I don't think he was that bad. There was a lot of other factors that played into Tennessee's poor performance against Ohio State. I do think him going to UCLA, he can be fine. And if it really isn't just the spin here to make Nico and the family look good, that they're going to an offense that's going to be more NFL friendly, then I do think that will work out for him. I mean, look, we saw what I forgot who the offensive coordinator is now for UCLA, but he's from the
Sunseri. I forget which Sunseri it is, but the one he was at Indiana the past couple
years. So I mean,
last year and was with Signetti before that.
He's from that Signetti tree. We saw what Signetti did with a guy like Curtis Rourke with an Indiana team. I think it's not unfair to say Nico has at least more talent than Rourke does at the quarterback position. I would say that UCLA probably has at least one wide receiver on that team that's comparable to what they were throwing out there last year. Because Indiana, I think overall from just like a college football perspective, probably had a pretty decent wide receiver core. Miles Price, for the life of me, can't remember who their leading wide receiver was right now that's coming back this year, but he also he had a really good season last year. I think Nico is going to be fine from just an overall college perspective. You know, we weren't super high on Madden. We weren't low on him. I think we were fairly close to the services, maybe a little bit below them on what we thought of Madden. But overall, you know, I think UCLA's got a lot of other problems right now than just the quarterback position. I mean, they lost, you know, hard into the portal. I'm not sure the running back position is going to be good. I honestly don't know where the offensive line ranks. Defense I actually thought played really well, and I don't know if that was just a Foster thing or what. I felt like UCLA turned it on a little bit toward the end of the year and was a much better team than we expected. So overall, I think it will be a fine move for both of them. I think this ends up meaning Nico stays 2 more years in college, though. I don't see any way he goes to UCLA, lights it up this year, and then goes to the NFL draft. Maybe that's what the family's wanting. I just don't think that happens. I think at this point, if you're Nico, you've got to do everything you can to like literally rebuild your draft stocks. I think it's probably taken a hit, fair or unfair. He's going to be judged for doing what he did. I mean, you know, you talk about it from an NFL perspective. I mean, Austin, you're a Steelers fan. I'm a Browns fan. How many times do you hear about this in the NFL side of things where players hold out, whether it's in camp or whatever? Now, I know they've put stuff in place now with the last bargaining agreement that, like, you sit out, you get fined and everything, which is not college football. And you hear how much that grinds coaches and front office personnel and everything. And now they've got him doing it on the college football side of things. Like, I do think this is going to affect the way probably some GMs and everybody view him. So he's going to have to, like, literally, I think, rebuild his entire draft stock at UCLA.
I don't want to presume anything about the family and Nico and all of that. So I think it's easy to do that when you read all these negative reports and hear these things. And quite frankly, it's not like we've ever had a lot of praise for the family overall from the information that we know firsthand or talk to people that would know. I don't know that they really care that much about the NFL. Like, why rush to the NFL if you can make a couple $1 million a year and be set for life? Like, I almost think that is potentially what they want. Just squeeze a bunch of money out now, and then whatever happens, happens. I really think that could be the goal for them. Kind of why they pushed for, you know, kept pushing for extra money at Tennessee and kind of have always leaned toward the highest bidder. So that's just my read on that. But yeah, I mean, I think I've talked about this on a couple of different shows now. Like, I think there's so many wild cards right now at UCLA. Like, if I had to guess, would I say that it probably isn't an improvement in circumstance? Yeah, I would probably bet that. But like, am I so sure of that in college football? Where, I mean, if you said Indiana was going to win 11 or 10 games or whatever last year and make it to the college football playoff and look really good offensively when we didn't think anything of the players there. I mean, it would it shock me if they won 9 games this year, and Nico looked pretty solid. No, that wouldn't shock me. But I do think Madden following him is interesting. Madden followed him in high school as well. Really only played 1 year of high school football because of that, and then the senior year didn't play at all. So, like, the thing for Madden is I just think he needs to go somewhere where like he's gonna play and get reps, because he needs reps really badly. If Nico's there 2 years, and now it sounds like Dad wants them both to be together. Like, I think this is actually bad for Madden's development. Like, this is almost like a, my youngest son be damned. Like, we're just going to get the boys together and we're going to get them paid together and all that. So, I feel bad for Madden, because I think getting away from his brother, building his own thing would have been really, really good for him. I don't know that he gets that now. So potentially, I think it's potentially could be a good thing for Nico. I think it's probably a bad thing for Matt and Iamaleava. That's my guess on the whole thing. But, we shall see.
I mean, do you think that they recruit over him, though, at the quarterback position? I'm trying to remember. I mean, I know they brought in I want to say it was a 3-star in 2025. I was trying to pull up if they're even in on anybody in 2026 right now. now at the quarterback position. None
I
of the
don't think they
quarterbacks
have
that
a
I've
guy
watched, I
committed.
believe they're in on. So, like, I mean, I think there's a shot that maybe no, they've just brought in nothing but wide receivers. Interesting. And for
They
at least
brought
for
in Robert
2026.
McDaniel this year, who was like a borderline 3-star, 4-star guy. I know we weren't like huge.
Gotcha. Okay.
But they did bring him in.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up just being not that I'm saying this is a good thing, because I don't disagree with you. He needs reps and he needs practice, but maybe that's legitimately the plan. I mean, maybe they just, whatever backroom deal, handshake deal, whatever it is, hey, we're just going to go straight from Nico to Madden. Madden's got 2 years to improve. I imagine he's probably going to be the backup to Nico, so maybe he's running scout team or whatever, getting a lot of reps in practice, maybe get some reps with the ones, and then 1 or 2 years, whatever it is with Nico, if Nico goes to the NFL, they hand the ball to Madden and let him go.
For UCLA, I don't know. Cozying up, we were talking about this yesterday in the Discord with some people. In my experience, kind of giving in to a single entity like this and kind of being at their now kind of beholden to them. I don't know if that's a good thing for UCLA. A program, I get the reward here, because they're a program that is, very clearly, I think, headed the wrong direction. They haven't really been good in a long time. I know they kind of had some years there with Chip Kelly, but I don't know that they were ever seriously a team while he was there. That like everyone was scared of. They were definitely a contender. They haven't had that in a really long time. So I mean, you're just kind of hoping that you can kind of catch lightning in a bottle with one or both of these guys. But man, if they, I mean, it's the saying, if they'll cheat with you, they'll cheat on you. It just is. If things aren't working out next off season, would it shock you if they both leave again? No. And now you're probably worse off than you already were, because there were rumors that Robert McDaniel was going to enter the portal. The 4-star true freshman they brought in this year. It sounds like maybe that is not the case. We'll see. But they chased off Joey Aguilar, who, granted, this would have been his last year anyway, so it's not like he was a succession plan there. But like you're kind of slowly widowing away the options that you have moving forward. And if you mess this up, how attractive of a spot are you next year?
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's very interesting too that Joey just goes right over to Tennessee.
Let's talk about that too. They traded. Well, we'll call it the trade here. What do you think of Tennessee's side of this trade?
I don't think there's any way that Joey Aguilar starts. I'm actually kind of surprised they went. I think it probably goes to Merklinger. I mean, he's been in the system. So I mean, the one thing is maybe he can, because, and I mean, this is just a guy sitting, at his house in Texas. I've never been a starting quarterback in college, really anywhere. I'll just throw that out there. If I fooled you at all thinking I was a starting quarterback at some point, I have not been. But rumors say that Josh Heupel's system is not the hardest to learn. Yeah. So maybe Aguilar is able to go in there here, late spring, obviously pretty much into the summer part of the season now at this point, and able to pick that offense up and ready to go week 1. I assume it's more just like a depth thing, because they only have, it's him and George McIntyre, who I like, the true freshman coming in this year. I believe those are the only 2 guys they have on their roster. So I think it's more of a depth move. But I mean, I guess if he goes in, I think the thing that sucks for him is, I mean, Tennessee fans are going to love him regardless, because he came over here right with Nico leaving. They're pretty upset from everything I've seen about Nico leaving. But I think they're going to be compared all season long if he ends up starting for Tennessee. But I just don't know that he's a difference maker in that offense, if that makes sense. I kind of feel like he's a pretty big step down from Nico, who wasn't even that good last year.
Joey wasn't very good last year either. Like, I was just shocked that people, the initial sentiment, I know it's just because people want to crap on Nico right now, and that's fun to do. But he's going to lose the job to Joey Aguilar, and he's not even better than him. Like, I don't know where that came from. I don't think Joey Aguilar is any good. Quite frankly, like, he put up some stats last year, and he passed for almost 3,000 yards, I believe, last year at Appalachian State. But like, it wasn't a good Appalachian State team. It was kind of one of the more dysfunctional on a drive-to-drive offenses that they've had there in a while. It never really clicked there for him. So, you know, I think he's going there with their thought that he probably is the leader to start. I think that's their thought, just because of his experience. And that offense, Joe Milton ran it
for 3 games. Didn't Milton get benched after 3 or 4 games?
Milton played like a whole season there.
Did he? I could have swore he got benched pretty quickly. Or that was yeah, he did. That was the first year. He got benched for Hooker. And then Hooker went and did what he, am I remembering that correctly? Hooker went and did what he did. Or I think it's somebody else.
Joe Milton started a whole year there. He got drafted.
I remember that he
drafted if he got benched.
Got drafted in like what, the fifth or sixth round. Yeah, but Milton had been around for a long time. Well, how long was he at Michigan before he transferred to Tennessee? I don't remember exactly how. I'm almost positive he got benched at one point for it. I just don't remember if it was Hendon Hooker. While you're looking that up, here's the problem with Joey. I mean, that's fine. Joey Aguilar wants to start. I think they probably lose to Syracuse, which is the first game of the season.
You do?
I think so. I think they could lose.
Syracuse. Entire roster is different than Syracuse's last year roster.
That's fair.
Like literally everything left, everything came in. Like there's no continuity there.
Fran Brown fan here. That is very, say that 3 times fast.
I am too, but I feel like there's a better chance that he got lucky year one. That just kind of
he didn't get lucky. He didn't get lucky. Kyle McCord happened. There we go, baby. Kyle McCord happened. That's what. But hang on. Let me just finish the rest of the schedule. East Tennessee, cool. Joey Aguilar probably goes off. Then Georgia. Week 3, Georgia. There's no way.
They're going to lose that game with Nico anyway, though, right?
True, but do they even score 3 points with Joey Aguilar? Do they even score 3 points? Probably not. UAB, sure, they probably win. Mississippi State, is that when my boy Luke Kromenhoek comes out and has a party against Tennessee and they win? Who's to say? We'll find out on September 27th.
Bias in this.
There's Arkansas, they probably lose. Alabama, I'll even throw Mike Valerie a bone. They probably lose to Kentucky. Oklahoma, maybe. And then New Mexico.
I think you're wrong on so many of those games. Mississippi State, Kentucky, Arkansas, their roster is clearly better than all those teams.
It doesn't matter that they're better. You still need a quarterback who can.
Who's Arkansas's quarterback that's going to do anything? I know it's Taylon Green.
Yeah, he was actually pretty good last year overall.
He was real up and down.
Hey, that's all right. If he has an up game against Tennessee, they probably win against Joey Aguilar, who's probably not going to be able to run. This is really turning into a crap on Joey Aguilar segment, and I apologize if you ever watch this, Mr. Aguilar. You are 10 times the athlete I will ever be, but yeah, I just don't know. Give it to Jake Merklinger. That's my opinion. I just don't think Aguilar is going to be that good for Tennessee. But
I mean, I don't think you go get Joey Aguilar if you think Merklinger is a foolproof plan, but maybe that's just me.
Did you pull up Joe Milton stats? Because now I need to know.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't look to see if he got benched, but I mean, he was in college for 6 years. He was at Tennessee for 3 years.
God. Wow. Good for him.
So,
yeah.
I did just want to ask real quick as kind of a follow-up or talk real quick. Arkansas is trying to get that money back from Madden. It sounds like it's about $200,000. I don't know if that's the extent of what they paid him or just what they're looking to claw back. I mean, obviously none of us have any access to the contracts. They're all kept hush hush.
Yeah.
You know, we never really know what's in them, but we know that they can't be attached to actual play. You know, usually it's you show up for events, you sign autographs, you do a bunch of other crap. So I guess the interesting thing here is like, was the pay structure, they pay you all up front and then you have to do all these things over the next year. Like I haven't really seen any specifics as to what they're going to be relying on to get the money back, but this is the first time that we've seen a school actually do it.
Yeah.
Chris and I were actually talking earlier. He's not on with us here tonight. I called him earlier and we were talking about this. And I said, you know, what was it? Wisconsin said they were going to do it with that kid who transferred to Miami this year from them, that DB. Was a freshman last year.
Yeah. I forgot the name, but I know who you're talking about.
But I don't know if they've actually done it. Like I don't know if that was just kind of, you know, if you do this, we're gonna, you know, a threat. I honestly don't remember, or no, I haven't heard a follow up on that story. But this is the first time we've had a collective actually like release a statement saying yes, we're gonna legally try to get back this $200,000. I mean, I think that's a really interesting twist to this, because we have lamented the fact that the pendulum is probably swung too far.
Yeah.
The other direction in terms of exploitation of kids versus just a free for all. And I guess you can argue, there's not enough. The pool of money isn't big enough compared to what the blah 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 blah. But I mean, there's zero protections here right now for some of these NIL collectives. So I think this is interesting. I know everyone's kind of. I think I saw Josh Pate tweeted earlier, said something about like literally everybody is cheering for Arkansas here. Like there's no. In some cases, maybe you'd be worried that you'll scare away other recruits or things like that. Like there's none of that here. There's no downside here for them. So yeah. I think it's going to be really interesting to watch unfold and see if it sets a bit of a precedent or very specific precedent maybe.
Yeah, I mean, this is when you need Felix here to yell at us for being against players, and players deserve every penny that they sign for, however you want to put it. But I don't think there's anything wrong with Arkansas doing this. I don't think that they'll lose anything recruiting wise for this. I mean, at the end of the day, if you just boil it down to, it's a simple thing. I assume in some sort of way, Madden signed some kind of contract. If I signed a contract for Campus to Canton that I was going to go make these couple appearances and get paid this money and then didn't show up, they have every right to ask for their money back, whether, I spent it or did whatever I wanted with it. I mean, you did not do what you signed on the dotted line to do. So I have no issue with Arkansas doing it. I'll be very curious to see if Arkansas is successful in doing this. Does that start a, more colleges or more athletic departments trying to do this for other players that have just up and left in the transfer portal? I mean, we've heard multiple times that schools have thought about doing this and they don't. I think it's because of, as you mentioned, maybe they're scared of what the repercussions might be if they do this with other players and whatnot. But, at the end of the day, I do think, as you mentioned, this is very much a free-for-all. It's kind of the wild, wild west still. It's going to be very interesting to see if or when some of this stuff kind of gets reined in. But I think it's a good move by Arkansas. I think, weirdly enough, because like I said, I know Felix really likes to get on to us sometimes about not being pro player. I feel like most of the time I am, but I've been very much on Tennessee and Arkansas's side of things here with the way Tennessee kind of held out for themselves there and saying like, hey, we're gonna, like Nico, you wanna up and leave, cool, like you're gone. We're not gonna put up with that and let him go and do his own thing. And now Arkansas kind of going after Madden to get that money back. I think more schools should do that. And I want to say it was Danny Cannell who said this on the Cover 3 podcast. I think it was last week when they were talking about this. I also don't think that should be limited to players. I think they should go after coaches as well for some of this stuff. When you see the NFL do it all the time, and sometimes college teams do it more when like they overplay their hand a little bit. Like I'm thinking of the Mel Tucker situation in Michigan State to try and prove improper things to get as much money back. But I think, if a coach signs a deal for you and says, hey, I'm staying for 4 years, and then in a year in, he takes a promotion or something, which there's nothing wrong with that. But I think the school should be able to recoup some of that money back instead of just having to pay coaches and whatnot. So I'm very interested to see how all this stuff goes down. I know Mox wanted to talk about some other things with us. Unfortunately, couldn't join us tonight. So might be a fun discussion to have next week.
Yeah, I think just a couple of final points on this. I do think there's always going to be a cat and mouse game in terms of language in these contracts between players and schools, because it gives us such unlitigated, just Wild West territory. So whatever is going on in this contract that's going to allow collectives to potentially get money back again, we don't know on what basis they're attempting to do that. But I think you'll see some players attempt to alter contracts with terms that would maybe not allow or significantly limit the ability for schools and collectives to do this. So I think that's kind of point number one there. The other one just being that everything with this for me kind of almost circles back to like international club soccer. Mm-hmm. As someone that grew up, we've talked about this on the show. Like we both played growing up. I played all through college. I'm a huge soccer fan. I watch games all week long on the weekends when they're on. there are specific countries. Spain is the first one that comes to mind. I think there might be one or two others as well, that when you sign a contract, like a sporting contract, and it might be for like all employment, I actually am not that deep into it, you have to put some sort of a buyout in there that has to be reached. And it has to be like in Spain, I believe it's famous because they have to like give the player like $60 million to go show up to Real Madrid, to give Real Madrid $60 million so they can leave or whatever. Like that's kind of how the buyout works. I do think that potentially a way to play around with some of this stuff is to, and again, this would have to be either collectively bargained or some sort of legislation passed on this, is to have some sort of a buyout in there so that coaches can't just leave with the money. Players can't just leave with the money. No one can just leave with the money, and that would maybe solve the quote unquote, like the transfer prices that we've seen people float around. If Ted Hurst entered the portal today, we're not really going to talk about that on today's show. Georgia State receiver, we thought he was going to be really good for college fantasy this year. If a Power 4 team comes in and takes him, maybe they owe Georgia State $200,000, or something like that. That can then so that these smaller schools aren't just getting of some of this talent. I think those things like that, I think, are going to be, potentially things that get discussed over the next few months, few years, however long this takes to settle down a little bit.
I mean, what you just described is the transfer market in soccer/football, which again, I think is something which, in a different setting, I brought up recently with the college football playoffs and what the G5 should do with using the Champions League and Europa League. Like, there's so many ways to make college football they don't make as much money as the NFL. I was actually looking this up. They are the fourth or fifth most, what's the word?
Lucrative.
I believe it was NFL, NBA, Premier League, then college football. Like, college football is above baseball, above a lot of other sports. They make enough money. Like, there's enough money to go around here. Obviously, you're always going to have the people at the top who are very greedy and trying to keep as much as they can. But like, there's so many ways that they could turn this around and make it into something that maybe, is similar to the NFL, but similar to other sports. There's a lot of structures in place that could make a lot of people, coaching staffs, players, the athletic boards, the schools in general, a lot of money if they all just sit down and try to kind of figure this out instead of, again, just letting it be the wild, wild west, which is what it is right now. And that's only, I think the good thing for that is that it's going to continue to benefit the top teams in college football because they're going to continue to get all the money with the TV deals. They're going to be able to bring in all these players, probably pay them cheaper than, there's rumors that I think Jeremiah Smith only made $1 million last year. You cannot tell me there's any way possible he did not make Ohio State more money last year than the $1 million they paid him. Like, there's just
that final touchdown that he caught was probably worth more than $1 million, right? So that's one play.
Yeah, exactly. So, it's just there's so many ways they could go about this. I'll be very interested. We've talked about it before. I know you, me, and Mox have talked about it before. Like, college football, what we see right now is not going to be college football, not be this version of it probably 5 years down the road. It's going to be very interesting to see what kind of happens with them moving forward. I think there's a lot of different ways they could go. And I think some of this stuff going on with the transfers and the NIL and everything is going to speed that process up a little bit more just because schools and athletic directors and everybody else are going to start getting fed up with it.
All right, that's going to be the final word there. Housekeeping real quick, and then I saw we had a question in the chat as well that I said that I promised we'd get to shortly, and that was 18 minutes ago. So we'll talk about that here in a second, but just real quick housekeeping, guys. Again, subscribe to the channel here. Drop a like on the video. If you're listening to this on podcast feed, wherever that is, please give us a 5-star review. It helps us a lot with just visibility and all those kinds of things, and as we try to be one of many groups trying to grow the college fantasy format and all of its lovely variations. That kind of stuff helps a lot. And you're going to want to set those notifications on here because we are covering the NFL draft day 1 and day 2 here on the Campus to Canton YouTube channel. I know there's going to be a different panel of us each of the 2 days. We've been talking about these guys since they were high schoolers, a lot of them. We do a rookie guide every year, and it goes through the year by year, kind of our thoughts on them, our analysis of them. So that's what we're going to talk about tomorrow as the draft goes on. We're going to talk, we're all football fans, so I'll rage with whatever the Steelers do, and I'm sure Mike will have a meltdown with the Patriots selection and all that fun stuff. But we can talk about some of these fantasy relevant guys as well. So we're going to do that. So tune in here. Again tomorrow and day 2, we'll be covering both of those things. All right. So asked real quick here a question about something that we have over at the website at campus2canton.com. He said, Austin, why does the star index change for a player? So just a little bit of background. Star index is a tool or a metric that we have. It's basically our version of an athleticism metric. We have a huge database of thousands of players going back decades, has all sorts of different athletic testing in it. Where ours differs from things like RAS and some other ones is that we, as Matt, and I'm going to suggest if you want more information on this, go listen to last week's episode of The Official on the podcast feed, because Matt Powell and I actually talked about this, the creator of our star rating. But it's a little less linear than RAS. Like the RAS is just like, if you're super big, super fast, super strong, like the athleticism score keeps going up. Ours does not do that. It kind of focuses on the preferred, size, whatever that kind of are inherently better for different positions. We take into account how many sports these guys have played in high school, because that does matter. As we've kind of looked into it, for quarterbacks, it factors in things like their throwing velocity as well. So all that kind of gets combined into a score. So asked, why does the star index change for a player? Two different ways it would change. First off, we just add new data to it, whether for that specific player or for other players, because it is, at the end of the day, a metric that is it's all relative. Like the 100th rank, the 100th percentile guy, it kind of filters down from there to a 0th percentile. So just more data, more information that comes in either for a specific player or for other players might bump them up or down slightly. So that's item number one. And item number two, and if again, I would go listen to last week's episode of The Official. We actually just tweaked the formula a little bit, and Big Wide Receiver Guy talked a little bit about it. I am not educated enough on that particular topic and modeling in particular to give as good of an explanation as he did. It's in the first 10 minutes of the episode. So if you don't want to listen to the whole thing, you can at least go in and listen to that. We also talk about some of the other metrics that we use on the recruiting side of things, our landing spot score, our production scores, all of those kinds of things that get factored into our recruiting scores at the end of the day. So I would definitely recommend go checking that out if you haven't done that already. But that's why a star index would change. And again, as I said, we did slightly tweak the formula, which did impact, everybody to varying degrees. I don't think it would have gone from like a 90th percentile guy to a 10th percentile guy. It was just a very slight tweak that we made again to the formula. And then he did follow up with another question here. He said, does system landing spot go into that model? No, just factors in raw athletic score. We actually have a system built out kind of behind the scenes that we can reference where everything gets input, where it breaks out like burst, speed. There's like a bunch of different testing metrics that can go in any of them. The thing actually takes like the best one. So like if you have a crazy fast 200 meter that's like 95th percentile in the country, and we got a mile per hour reading for you on the field that was like 60th percentile, we take that 95th percentile. It takes the best out of every single category. So agility, burst, strength, speed, and then the size, and then everything else kind of gets factored in as well. So that is my best explanation on the star rating from the person who did not create the star rating and is not qualified to give anything deeper than that on the star rating. But yeah, and if you have any other questions about it, please feel free to reach out to us. Happy to talk about that, or quite frankly, get you connected with Big Wide Receiver Guy who can tell you more. All right, NFL draft, Matt. We just mentioned draft kicks off. We're recording this on Wednesday night. It kicks off tomorrow on Thursday. And the big storyline, I think, from a fantasy perspective, I guess like where does Shador go is a big one, but I'm tired of talking about Dion and Shador and all of that. So I'm going to talk about Ashton Jeanty. It sounds like he is now a lot of the in the know people are kind of locking him in as a surefire top 5 guy in the draft this year. And we're not going to use this as a chance to Felix would if he was here. Pat us on the back about our Ashton Jeanty rating coming out of high school, where we had him as a top 15 running back in the class. We absolutely loved him, had him on our shows. Little known fact, we seriously contemplated having his own show on the network as a freshman, kind of detailing what freshman football is like, and just couldn't quite get it greenlit.
It's probably one of the projects we will probably regret not figuring out a way to get done.
Yeah, there were compliance issues, I believe, that we ultimately
at the time. Yeah, this
through.
was before NIL and everything really happened. I think if NIL happened, I would almost guarantee we would have had an Ashton Jeanty show on the Camps to Canton Network.
Yeah. And it might have become like a yearly, have a different guy host it. It's still not out of the realm of possibility that we'll do that, because we do still talk to some of these kids, and our scores are a little detached from the services at times, and they like when you tell them you're better than the services do. So
that is true.
Just the fact of the matter. Do we believe that Ashton Jeanty should be taken in the top 5, top 10, top half, first round at all? I mean, I guess like we're both. Well, are you millennial?
I don't know. That and what's the other thing that everybody always talks about?
You a Zoomer, Gen Z?
No, that just group all that stuff together. No, this is probably gonna make me sound old, which maybe makes me not a millennial. I don't know, the astrological stuff or whatever. What's your sign? Like any of that, I don't pay attention to any of that crap. I don't care. I'm just a man trying to make his way through this world, Austin.
Do not get me started on the astrological stuff. Do not get me started.
What's your sign, Austin? What's your sign?
I
can tell
know.
you, but
I don't know. I will tell you, my wife is not into it at all either. I would not have married her if she was. There's a level of crack pottery there involved that I can't get behind. So yeah, I mean, we're the millennial. I was about to say, it's like young people are like, no, you never take a running back first round. I mean, so beyond that is like, we probably both believe that. I mean, thoughts beyond that?
I mean, I think it depends on the running back you get in the first round and what they do. I mean, I don't think it didn't work out for the Cowboys in getting a Super Bowl. I don't think them taking, well, I don't know, because then I've seen the argument if they could have taken, which again, I actually don't believe these arguments, because I've talked to Cowboys fans about this. Was it? I believe they said they should have taken, I think it was Jalen Ramsey at that pick, and then gotten Derrick Henry in the second round. It's easy to say that, but you don't know if you would have taken Jalen Ramsey that Derrick Henry would have fallen to that point or whatever. So, there's a few running backs that have gone in the first round that I don't think have been bad picks. Like, I don't think, granted, he was injured a little bit, but like, I don't think the Giants are not happy with the fact that they took Saquon Barkley. I mean, maybe they're not happy with the fact that he went to the Eagles and ends up winning a Super Bowl, but that is what it is.
It happens.
Top 5, I just don't see where he goes. I don't think Tennessee, Cleveland, the Giants, New England, or Jacksonville are going to take him. Those are the top 5 picks.
Jacksonville's the rumor. Feels smoke screeny to me with them, but
yeah, I mean, look, I've never been the biggest Trevor Etienne fan, but I mean, is what it is.
Can't
but
catch.
He cannot catch. Oof, I remember those arguments back in the day. But I don't see anybody trading up. I do think he deserves to go first round. I just don't know. I want to say Corey and Mike were talking about this on Back to Debbie that I listened to today. And Corey made a really good argument that if he goes that high, I think outside of him, and I don't want to put words in Corey's mouth, but I'm almost positive he said to the fact, like, if he doesn't end up being a Hall of Famer, like, people are going to view him as a disappointment.
Yeah.
And I don't think Corey's argument is wrong there. And I don't think that's fair to Jeanty, because I just don't think he is a very, very talented player, but he's not. If you even look at, the guys that have gone in the past couple of years, who was it? Jameer Gibbs, who am I forgetting that? Bijan. Like, Breece Hall a couple years ago, Zeke, who else is gone? I mean, Najee, I mean, he probably favors, or he probably is like, I guess probably comparable in some ways to Najee Harris. That's probably like the closest one in my opinion that he favors to. And even Najee, for the most part, you don't think so?
Well, I am a Steelers fan. I mean, I thought that pick was stupid at the time, and he was so average with us, which is fine. I mean, it's like,
I was gonna say I thought it was pretty good, but I was probably viewing that from a fantasy perspective. I rostered Najee in a couple.
He was just healthy he literally never got hurt.
Yeah.
He was just healthy for 4 years. At the running back position, you're gonna be an RB1 if you're just healthy for 16 games.
Unless this draft class is bad, which this is probably a discussion we should have with like someone like Mike Valerie, because I'm going to be honest, NFL is just so out the window for me now at this point. I'm not paying that close attention to certain things with that. I just don't see how you take a running back top 5. I would not be surprised if he goes top 15. And if someone takes him there, I do think that Jeanty will bring back some kind of return of investment there. I do think he's a phenomenal player, phenomenal kid. I think he's going to succeed in the NFL. But top 5 just seems rich to me. To me, I feel like that's got to be in essence, kind of what Corey said, like one of those running backs who has a chance to make it to the Hall of Fame. Because realistically, that's a very small number. It's probably less than 1% of players that have played in the NFL make it to the Hall of Fame. So you're talking about like the most special of special players. And I think it's unfair to put that on Jeanty right now, if that makes sense. So I don't know that he goes top 5, but I think he should go probably at least top 15, top 20.
Yeah, it's tough for me to get beyond I just don't believe that a running back should go in the first round unless there are very specific circumstances where it could make sense. You know, you have a super complete roster, you've got depth on the line, you've got at least one really good edge guy, you've got your quarterback locked in, you've got your receiving talent locked in. Like the running back is kind of that missing piece. I get in those circumstances why teams are tempted to do it. I personally still wouldn't. I think you can find comparable talent later, but you know, for the sake of argument, we'll say that's true. The big thing for me, and I'll keep harping on this, I just think he's a little overrated as a prospect. I don't think he's as good as Bijan Robinson. I actually don't even think he's as good of a prospect as Jahmyr Gibbs was, and I didn't think that Jahmyr Gibbs should have gone where he went either. So this isn't necessarily a hindsight is 2020 thing with him. I just don't think he's as good a prospect as either of those guys. I don't think he's as good of a prospect as Jonathan Taylor was coming out of Wisconsin, quite frankly. I just don't. I don't think he's as good of a prospect as J.K. Dobbins before he kind of fell off because of the injury stuff at the end of his college career, who, if people forget, like after Dobbins' freshman year, people were like, holy crap, this dude is like Zeke again. They just, luck box into another dude that's just as good. So he's a good player. I think what separates, and I know the running back position is one of those positions where like you don't need an uber athlete, but like he just doesn't have that kind of juice. And I think to be that guy at running back in the NFL, you do have to have, like, to be a special back. I think you have to have it. I can't think of a single running back in the past 20 years who's been a multi-year stud, multi-year stud who was an average athlete. Yeah. Can you?
No.
Yeah, I can't. I mean, you think of like Christian McCaffrey, really good athlete. Yeah. Jonathan Taylor, really good athlete. Zeke, really good athlete. Saquon, really good athlete. I'm trying to think of some of the other like top running, even going back to like the Matt Forte days. In our database, he's like a 98th percentile athlete. Matt Forte was like an insane. People don't think that about him. Like some of these dudes that you think about, LaDainian Tomlinson, crazy athlete. Jamal Charles, all those Chiefs running backs. Larry Johnson, crazy athletes.
I've got the list up of running backs drafted highly. Yeah, there's not one guy. Like I don't think he was drafted that high. The only one I'm seeing on this list, but like dude was just a difference maker of a running back, was Marshawn Lynch. That's the only one I'm seeing that's not like a.
And I think he's got a really good athletic score in our database.
Oh, I bet you he did. He probably does because of just strength alone. I mean, but he's the only one I'm looking at, like Chris Johnson, Adrian Peterson, Steven Johnson. CJ, I mean, say what you want about Spiller and Reggie Bush, maybe not working out so well in the NFL. Dudes were still incredible athletes. I mean, same thing. Trent Richardson didn't really work out in the NFL, was a very good athlete. LaDainian Tomlinson's on that list as well. There's a couple others, but
yeah, I just think it's needed to be like that dude, that guy, the guy who is kind of unquestionably the top running back in the NFL at any given time, which I think is what the level of prospect that people are claiming Ashton Jeanty to be. And I do think it's interesting because now I've seen some comps floating around the past couple of days, and I don't know if it's just I've gotten caught in some sort of social media echo chamber. But like I'm seeing Josh Jacobs as a player thrown around. Like, and I think if you're drafting a running back in the first round, I know injuries happen. But you would really be hoping for a second contract with a running back that you're getting early, because otherwise it just kind of seems like a waste of money and whatever else and resources to take him that early. Josh Jacobs had one contract with the Raiders and then got franchised twice in a row, and now it's with a different team. Like they got the 6 years out of him or whatever. Guess what percentile athlete Marshawn Lynch is?
Oh, I'm gonna guess 90 something percentile.
97th. 97th percentile.
Is it because of his strength and burst?
Literally everything except for his agility is 80th percentile or higher in our database.
Interesting.
And he probably was, I mean, to get that high, you probably were a multi-sport athlete. And high
I
school
mean,
as
so
well.
I'm scrolling through this list here. There's legitimately only two, which in some of this may just be that like I don't remember much about Donald Brown. Don't remember much about him. Javid Best. Don't remember much about
Best
him.
was like crazy fast. Like he was Jameer Gibbs before Jameer Gibbs.
Gotcha. Ryan Matthews. I don't remember how good Ryan
I
Matthews. I remember he was
I don't remember
fairly
him
highly
being a great
sought after.
athlete.
Those are probably the only ones that I'm seeing. No Sean Moreno, if I didn't mention him. That's really it. I mean, that I'm seeing that went first round. I'm even trying to go a little bit into the second here just to. Oh, and Bishop Sankey, but that was just a horrible draft class in general where he went. But yeah, that's it. Those are the ones I'm seeing.
Oh wow, and Jeanty actually scores pretty well in our athletic database. So maybe I'm wrong, but I know I visually have never watched him and thought he has a lot of juice, a lot of breakaway speed. You know, that all that to say, yeah, I don't think I would take him there. Any lesson to be learned here from like a recruiting, you know, whatever perspective? I think it's kind of a one-off. You know, everyone's going to be looking for the next low-rated guy that can do this. And we talked this year. We have, you know, the highest-rated G5 running back that we've had since Jeanty this year and Tawan Payton. But like, we're not expecting Tawan Payton to be a top 60 draft pick in a few years. You know, that's a big ask.
No, I mean, I think we're going to see most of those guys at some point transfer up. Like, I think Jeanty is going to definitely be kind of the unicorn here because he was just committed to Boise State, right? Which also I kind of love about the kid that he's just like, no, I'm sticking with Boise State. They were the ones who came after me. Didn't ever even seem like he was willing to go anywhere else. I mean, not going to guess if there was any kind of NIL stipulation stuff there or whatever with him. Like he stuck it out with Boise State. I think most players will probably transfer up when they play good at the G5 level. So I think at some point we'll see them play there. I don't know that we'll see another G5 guy be valued this way. So no, I think it's a one-off, and sure, people will look for those guys, but I think even if they do pop at, say, Ohio or whatever, like they're going to be up with some P4 school the next year. And that's kind of where we're going to remember them from, is from whatever they do with those P4 schools.
Yeah. And Clint says, what's up, Clint? Jeanty squatted 605 before last season, and watching Holani run a 4.5240 last year at the combine makes me think Jeanty would be about a 4.43 and a 4.44. And you know, maybe, you know, we're in total speculation territory here. Maybe I've just been too low on his athletic upside throughout his college career, especially as he entered. I mean, my comp for him coming into college was Kyron Williams, so who's not an amazing athlete, although has certainly made it work in the NFL. So, yeah, maybe. Real quick, Matt, you know, we don't have to expand on this too much. We're going to call our shot right now. Biggest surprise that happens on day one and day two. A player that falls, a player that gets taken a lot earlier than people think. Call your shot now.
Player that
doesn't have to be a fantasy guy, but
do I have to do one of each? Player that falls or player that surprises?
Sure, give me one of each.
See, I don't know. Okay, well, here's the thing: is I was listening to back to Devi today. Shout out to Mike and Corey. Mike's not going to listen to this, so this won't go to his head. It is arguably one of my favorite shows.
He's in the chat right now. So.
Oh crap, is he?
He was.
They've got such great chemistry. I do love listening to that show. I think Mike was mentioning that I guess there's been a lot of talk lately. Is Shedeur falling? I do think he ends up falling. I don't know. I don't think he falls out of the first round. I just think there's too much there going for him. But I do think that he will fall farther than people expect. But if I have to call my shot, and this is hard because you're asking me to pick.
Are you about to say what I think you're about to say?
I don't know, because here's the thing: you're asking me to pick between two of my favorite children. I still have I just dropped a bunch of stuff. I still have my Quinn Ewers jersey right here. I need to get it framed and hung up. Kyle McCord's going day 2. That's what I'm going to say. There's been a lot of love from my boy Kyle McCord on X lately from a lot of people. I have yet to watch. I need to watch it. I have it saved. The QB school with John Gruden. Apparently he killed it on there. There's been a lot of love for him, what he's done in interviews and everything. I mean, look, let's just, if you guys are with us Thursday night, if there is any way possible, God, if you were listening to this, Kyle McCord goes day 1. The receipts that will be released Thursday. I don't care that I have to get up at 2:00 in the morning for work Friday morning. I will be up all night retweeting. I've actually got the folder now put right on the main screen of the computer now. It's not hidden in case Felix ever tries to hack in or anything like that. Things will be said. Feelings will be hurt. It's going to be a lot of fun. So I don't know that actually happens. It would be a great, great day for me, though, Kyle McCord and the McCord family if he goes round 1. But I think there's a shot he goes day 2. Really do.
Okay. All right. I put this on the sheet and then I didn't have a good answer for it myself. I will say I don't think this should happen, but I do think that there's going to be a wide receiver that none of us collectively think should have gone round 1 that goes in there. Man. I think it's going to be, let's say Jaden Higgins. I think Jaden Higgins goes round 1 to a team in the last 3 to 4 picks. And it doesn't have to be one of the teams that's holding it now. There might be some trade up, trade down stuff going on. But I think that is that'll be my shot that I call for a surprise, a guy that goes a little bit higher than we think. And then for a guy that's going to go a little bit lower, would it shock you if like Ollie Gordon goes in like the 7th round?
No, I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't get drafted.
Okay, let's do that. A hot take. Ollie Gordon doesn't get drafted. I think he really shot himself in the foot last year. So
main event in the chat saying Jay Gruden hates him, says he puts the ball. What's Jay Gruden know? He went 35-49 and 1 as a head coach. Get out of here. John Gruden's the one that matters.
All right.
Talking about brothers who can't succeed following their big brothers. Sorry, unneeded shots taken.
Last thing that I want to talk about here tonight, Matt, because we haven't talked about this. We took our hiatus right after some of these were dropped, but the early Heisman odds for this year are out right now. It's funny, anytime you can kind of put these in the time capsule and look at them again in 6, 8, 12 months. But here's just the top 15, 20 players on the board, Matt. Pretty much all quarterbacks except for our guy Jeremiah Smith there.
Yeah.
So he at plus 800, co-favorites right now are Garrett Nussmeier and Arch Manning.
It's interesting.
Right behind him, plus 1,000 is Cade Klubnik, Jeremiah Smith at plus 1,200, Julian Sayin plus 1,300, Dante Moore, Lenora Sellers, and DJ Lagway and Drew Aller are all at plus 1,600. Carson Beck plus 2,500. John Mateer, Kevin Jennings, Austin Simmons, Gunnar Stockton, Sam Levitt, Ty Simpson, all plus 3,300, and Miller Moss and CJ Carr plus 3,500. That was, again, just a snippet. There's a ton of players that are below that. If you go, I pulled these all from FanDuel. If you just go on there under the Heisman category, you can see all these. Anything stand out to you with the names that we mentioned, Matt? Or are you looking at potentially somebody else? Damon Williams is like plus 10,000, which I thought was interesting. Not that I think that he's going to win the Heisman this year, but a guy that could potentially be in the mix and you can cash out and make a little cash that way. Maybe. I don't know. Any thoughts here?
I'm actually kind of surprised that, I mean, it's not much. It's 200 here, but I'm kind of surprised Cade isn't up there with Arch and Garrett as like the favorites with the way he ended the season.
Yeah.
And the way they're talking about him. The ones to me, like if I was going to put some money on it, man, probably Sellers. Although they have a pretty tough schedule. I was trying to pull it up and look at it. They play a lot of really good teams this year. So he may not be the one. I mean, the one that stands out to me, and again, I know this is going to sound biased, but it's Sam Levitt. I mean, you got him. I'm not, pull a Colin Decker. I'm going to throw 5 shekels on it. Whatever. Just throw, I forgot who it was. Wasn't it Caden? Didn't he throw money on Caden Salter to win the Heisman last year or something like that?
Yeah.
Like just throw a little bit on someone like Sam Levitt. If you go look, I was looking at before the show, Arizona State's schedule is ridiculously easy. So there's and with the talent they've brought in through the transfer portal, that obviously losing Scadaboo is going to suck. But if Levitt continues to take another step forward last year, his first year starting as a quarterback in that offense, there's a realistic shot they win the Big 12. Like, I mean, I personally don't think Drew Aller, Carson Beck, John Mateer, Julian Sayin, as much as I hate to say this, Jeremiah Smith, because Julian Sayin's his quarterback, I don't think any of those guys really are any real threat to win it. I do agree with Cade, Arch, and Garrett kind of being the top guys there because I think all 3 of those guys could have amazing seasons. But like one, if you just want to throw a little bit of money on that could surprise people, Sam Levitt, because that's the other thing too. Like college football media fell in love with that team last year, and I think they will again this year if they continue to do well. So Sam Levitt's the one that I would kind of throw some money on.
In the chat asks, what's Dampier? He's plus 4,500 right now in a group with Joey Aguilar, right around Ryan Williams, Marcel Reed, Dylan Raiola, Jackson Arnold, Jeremiah Love, some other guys kind of right around there in that same region. They'll add like anybody if somebody asks them with enough odds. But here's actually, Matt, this is so crazy that it might actually make some sense. The best value on the board right now is Josh Hoover, plus 25,000.
Wow.
Looking at some of these other guys on the list, I mean, I think that offense is going to chuck the ball around a ton. The schedule, I have it here in front of me: UNC, ACU, SMU, Arizona State, Colorado, Kansas State, Baylor, West Virginia, Iowa State, BYU, Houston, Cincinnati. Like, that is not a tough schedule.
No,
I'm sure, maybe a team or two from there will emerge. But like, if TCU can kind of catch lightning in a bottle, I think that team is only going to go as far as Hoover goes. So that's one that stood out to me. That's just really, really, really far down there. And then I did see Nicholas Singleton's at plus 30,000. And this one's a little more convoluted because I think something has to happen to Katron Allen, and then they have to just lean on Singleton all year. But would it shock you after that coaching staff might be a little gun shy on Drew Aller after the way that the last season ended? Again, that's one that like multiple things have to happen, but for that kind of those odds, I don't know.
I was told Drew Aller played amazing in the playoffs. That's what I was told. At least
first couple games, sure.
It was not. Stop it. It was not as good as people make it out to be. I guess against SMU and Boise State. Okay, guys, let's pump the brakes a little bit. And he still wasn't that good. I believe he didn't even complete 50%, or maybe just a little over 50% in both those games. SMU and Boise State. For those of you who may have missed the two teams that they played with the Big Ten players there, much better. Yeah, I mean, Nicholas Singleton, I think, is a good call. Josh Hoover, I do like that because, again, I think you mentioned they play Arizona State early. I would think that those two, I'm trying to think of who else will probably, like, I think Utah's always a favorite in the Big 12, but like, I know because mentioned Dampier, like, this would not be the year I'd bet on him. I think you've got to give them a year to kind of figure out what they're doing with Utah. They've lost some players. I know he mentioned they just lost a player a wide receiver
that everyone liked. Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know that they'll be competing for the Big 12 title this year. So that for me, I like the Hoover because Hoover threw for almost 4,000 yards this last year. It was as bad as they were with Savion Red,
Jack
right?
Beck. Was
their best receiving option. So Hoover, I like the Hoover call. I mean, again, you'll pull a Colin Decker. They're like $10 on it. If he wins, you're going to come out smiling. It's a much better bet than Caden Salter. Sorry.
If I'll put $10 on it, if it wins, I'm buying out Colin's share of C2C. So
fair.
That's the bet. All right, perfect. I guess we'll have to have him agree to it, but
nah, he doesn't have to agree to it.
Twist his arm a little bit. Yeah, I think the past couple of years have shown too that you don't necessarily need to be like the national championship contending team to necessarily make it to New York and or win. So that would just be another feather in his cap there potentially. All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for tonight's show, guys. Thanks for tuning in here with us. And again, check out everything that we have over at campus2canton.com. Apologies to Kirk Herbstreit. We ran out of time, but we'll get him rescheduled next week. From Matt Bruening and from Austin Nace, good night and good luck.